How's my sound? Is that okay? All right, great. So the first slide that I have up here is an image that was made the first time that I was in Detroit about 10 years ago. And I decided to start with it because every time I see it, I remember this day, which is I was out wheat pasting and we put up this piece, and then a guy, just walking by starts talking to me, and he says, what's going on with this piece? And then he looks and he says, oh, these women look like Indigenous Native Americans. And then he starts to talk to me about the long history of oppression of Native Americans. And I just looked at him and I was like, I love Detroit. What a special place that you can get into these intense conversations, right? Hell yeah. And so I just wanted to start with that and to just let you guys know that, every time I've been here, I've really been struck by the genuineness and the presence of people of this city, that people are just really there in this super cool way, and I've been having a great time. So I am gonna take you through, like Nancy said, kind of the history of my work and do some intro stuff for people who aren't familiar with my work. But I was kind of trying to think a little bit specifically about what it would mean to speak in Detroit. And the thing that came to my mind was something that's been pretty important to me in the last couple of years, was sort of thinking about art as a tool for healing. And I know that with the current history of Detroit and where it's at, I think that there are a lot of people who also probably have healing and recovery in their minds as well. And so, for me, when I start to think about that, I think about it in sort of two aspects, and I think about the personal and the community as well. And so there are these ways in which, how many people here are artists or consider creativity a part of their lives? Yeah, so everybody here knows that there's a way in which creativity is so useful as a tool for us to access really deep and difficult emotions and to manage deep and difficult emotions, both personally and in our communities. And then for me, I also think about the way in which we get hands-on with it, and which we physically, effectively create change in our neighborhoods using the skill set of creativity. And so I'm gonna kind of talk about both of those things. But first I wanna take a minute to just root it in my personal life. So I'm going to overshare for a second, so just pardon that. But I just want to introduce why this thought process is so meaningful for me. So I was born in a family of very severely heroin-addicted parents. And that they lived within a family, a kind of a larger extended family of people who were struggling pretty hard with all different kinds of addictions, with mental illness, with suicidality, with depression. And so it was a family that could be really joyful and could be really loving, but for the most part was a family of people who were very, very deeply damaged and who had no concept of how to escape